For those of you who don't know, I'm Maggie, and today I'm really excited to be sharing with you what's in my makeup bag. And really, I should name this something like what's left in my makeup bag, because legitimately, the only makeup that I own, also, hello Nash, is in this makeup bag. Now, it's not fully closing, but this is everything that I have. And I feel like that may come as a shock to some of you if you're not new here, if you've been around the block for a little bit, because I feel like I went through a couple of years where I was watching a ton of makeup videos on YouTube, and I just felt like I needed to have everything that I was seeing. And this past year, I've made a really concerted effort not to buy new things that I didn't need. So yes, I've repurchased mascaras that I've run out of. Yes, I've repurchased concealer or moisturizer, but I legitimately just moved to only buying things that I 100% needed and I was out of. So I wanted to share with you what's left. So I'm gonna go category by category in the order that I put my makeup on. It may not be the same order as you, but maybe that'll give you some insights as well. We'll see. I hate lipstick marks on a glass. I really hate it. Starting with the face, BB creams, CC creams, foundations. I have two of these Misha Perfect Cover BB creams. I have one in the shade 21 and I have one in the shade 23. To be honest, the shades of these, they're not super duper different. You could probably get away with either of these any time of year, but I do tend to wear 23 in the summer months when I am a little bit tanner. This stuff is great. I get it from Amazon. It's super affordable, somewhere around the $8 to $10 range. It kind of changes. You know how Amazon pricing is a little bit variable. But this is so light. It's not full coverage, but it definitely does cover problem areas. So maybe you have redness in an area, or maybe you have like a little acne scar or something that you want to cover up. This will do the job. I just put one pump in my hand and that is plenty for my entire face, and I just apply it with my fingers. I don't usually like to use brushes or anything for foundation, and I find that this applies really well just with your hands. Another product that I have that's pretty similar is also found on Amazon and is within the same price range as well. And this is the Purito Sicca Clearing BB Cream. I have mine in the shade 23 Natural Beige because I was trying to match the same color that I had in the Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream. I like this stuff a lot. I think honestly that this has a higher coverage than this product does. 23 was the right shade for me. It's not too dark. And again, both of these products are really easy to just blend into your skin tone. You don't have to worry about the shades being wildly different. So I probably could get away with one shade lighter than this, but I probably couldn't go any darker than 23. Another thing that I want to note is that a little goes a long way with this. Don't get too heavy-handed because this really does a good job of spreading out and you don't go through the product as quickly. I think that less of this product covers more than this product, if that makes sense. So I think at the end of the day, they equal out, but I really can't recommend any of these enough. The next step is always this Tula Skincare Rose Glow and Get It Cooling and Brightening Eye Balm. I love this stuff. I think I got this almost a year ago in a FabFitFun box, and it was an option that I got to customize, and I was so happy that I ended up choosing this product because at first I was like, it seems kind of gimmicky, but then I saw my friend, she had this product and her under eyes just looked so brightened and refreshed, and she wasn't even wearing concealer. And so that sold me, and then I can't get enough of this. Now, this is not a one-stop shop for me. I don't just apply this. I always apply this with concealer on top of it, but I'm wearing it today and I just feel like it makes your under eyes look so healthy. Dark circles under my eyes are definitely a big concern for me. So if you also have struggled with that and maybe you just feel like your concealers aren't doing enough, try this. I promise you will not be disappointed. So like I mentioned, I always apply that product and then put concealer over it. And this is the one that I have purchased a million different times. It's the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I get mine in the shade Fair and I get the True Concealer product. They also have like a contouring product and a foundation version and a brightener and a neutralizer, but this is just the straight up concealer in Fair. I already purchased another one of these because as you can see, I have like the teeniest amount of product left. One thing I've learned about myself is that I prefer to apply my concealer with my fingers. So it has this great little sponge tip that I find so nice and handy. Some people get grossed out about the sponge tip. I don't really get why. I think that it feels really good going on. It doesn't tug at your skin. It applies the perfect amount of product to where sometimes I feel like I don't even have to rub it in. If you apply this right, like it can just kind of blend into your skin. It is the easiest product to work with. You can use it with your fingers, which is what my preferred application method is. Although I will say, while you don't have to bother with brushes, I do find that this Real Techniques little concealer brush actually works really well with it if you do prefer that over your fingers. So just wanted to plug this because I do like this brush, but I find that you have to wash it almost every other time because the bristles get really caked up easily, and then it makes your concealer streaky if you're not washing this frequently enough, and that's just kind of annoying. So I switched back to using my fingers a majority of the time. The next step always is some sort of powder, and I actually have 3. My very favorite and the one that I've been reaching for the most is this Laura Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder. I have mine in the shade number 1, and this is kind of a glowy powder. Now I love this, especially in the winter months, and feel like I talked about this in Vlogmas last year, correct me if I'm wrong, but it really does give you this just great kind of satiny sheen to the face. It doesn't make you look super greasy, but I will say a glowy moisturizer and this kind of glowy powder is a little bit too much. So before I sat down to film today, I realized I was like, ooh, I'm really shiny all over the place. And I ended up applying this Becca, what is this called? This is the Hydra Mist Set and Refresh powder. Now, I don't know if Becca still exists. Weren't they going out of business or something? But this was that powder that everybody was raving about because it felt cool and kind of wet when you put it on your face. But unfortunately, that gimmick doesn't last. That definitely wore off over time, and now it just feels like a regular loose powder. However, it is a good one. I just kind of put it in my T-zone right here and kind of like over this direction and maybe on my chin a little bit. And it doesn't completely eradicate the shine, but I like kind of still that healthy glow to the face. It looks very natural. It's not just completely matte or just overly glowy. So I do like this, but I don't know if you can buy this anymore. So I would recommend in its place, if you are looking for a good mattifying setting powder, this Maybelline Fit Me. I have mine in the shade Fair. If you're anywhere close to my skin type, this would work. With loose setting powders, I feel like you have a little flexibility in your shade range. So don't freak out about getting the exact right one, but don't go like 4 shades too dark. This is a great setting powder that is really affordable from the drugstore. I have bought and rebought the Laura Mercier loose setting powder again and again. And once I discovered this, I was like, wow, I love that one and it's awesome and it's like virtually undetectable on the skin. I can't make myself spend the money because this is almost just as good. Now, I've kind of gotten away from setting my under eyes because I do kind of think sometimes it can make things look a little crepey and a little weird and maybe make me look older than I am unnecessarily, but I will say if you're looking for a good under eye setting powder, like maybe you just deal with that area being greasy or maybe your mascara is constantly transferring under there, this is a way that you can make problem mascaras work for you. And it's this number 7 powder. Let me see the name of it. Number 7 Lift Illuminate Triple Action Finishing Powder. And I have mine in the shade Light. Now, this is meant to be a powder to be used all over your face, but 9 times out of 10, if I'm reaching for this, I'm using this strictly to set my under eyes. But this is a great powder. Once I run out of this pressed powder, I'll probably move on to this, use this up, and then decide what to buy next. Because I do find myself reaching for the pressed powders over the loose powders a majority of the time, mostly because they're super easy and not as messy. Next up, I always apply bronzer. Today, I'm actually wearing this cream bronzer, and this is the Physicians Formula Organic Wear Sculpting Bronzer. How I apply this, which I was very intimidated by when I first got this, is I do 1 stripe here, 1 stripe here, 1 here, and 1 here. And then I use a brush to kind of buff it out and blend it in. And I really like this stuff. It blends in so easily. You even have time to work with the product. Sometimes with cream products, you run into this issue where they dry down and then it's really hard to get that streak off of your face. But I want to show you this brush that has really been a game changer and has made cream bronzers like this, or blushes, whatever, way more approachable. This blending and bronzing brush from Eco Tools, and the bristles are really spread out. It's kind of like a stippling brush kind of style. It's not super dense, and that just makes things, I don't know, blend so easily, and it's perfect. This brush could not be named better, blending and bronzing, because that's definitely what it does best. Now, interestingly, I actually use this exact same brush for my powder bronzers as well, and I have 2 here. One is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I probably don't even need to tell you about this because you've heard about it a million times. It does have that signature kind of beachy coconut scent. If you don't like scented products, stay far away from this. And I just have mine in the shade Bronzer. I know that they have like a light bronzer and a dark bronzer now, and they have all these different options. Mine is legitimately just called bronzer. I love it because it's not overwhelming. I feel like it looks just as good in the summertime on me as it does in the wintertime, and it can be darker if you want it to be, I guess. It's just a really easy product to work with. It goes on so smoothly. I love this stuff. But another one that I got in, I think it was like the birthday gift from Sephora, is this NARS Laguna bronzer. And it's okay. To me, it's a little bit dark and a little bit orangey, but it is super convenient to travel with. And I thought that for the birthday gift, this was the best value, which is why I went for it, because you got this product and a lip product, if I'm not mistaken. I do use this. I don't think that it's my favorite shade. I think that I like how this looks on my skin better, but this is totally passable. I'm gonna use it up. It is what it is. Next up is definitely my favorite category, and I have just really been into blush because I feel like that is the one product, maybe blush and bronzer, they just bring you to life. It really changes the way that your makeup looks once you have it on, and you look more fresh and awake. So I actually have quite a few here, and I'm fine with it because I use all of them. So this first one is the Milani, what is this? This is the Milani Powder Blush in the shade Romantic Rose. And I actually bought this last year for my wedding because for those of you that don't know, I was one of those lucky COVID brides. Long story short, I had to cancel my makeup artist along with, I don't know, everything else to do with my wedding. And so I ended up treating myself to new makeup because I was like, everything else is going wrong. This is one thing in my control. So I did my own makeup for my wedding, and this is the blush that I used. I felt like it was just the perfect neutral shade. I loved how it looked in photos. It's just a good everyday blush. I really can't say enough good things about this. This is just a great kind of peachy neutral tone. It's not super duper pink, which is exactly what I was going for so that I had like a classic look in my wedding photos and not something like too over the top. Another blush that I have is this Burt's Bees blush, and this actually is kind of old. This is definitely older than a year, but this is in the shade Bare Peach, and I like this blush, but I feel like it's almost too neutral for me. It's like a little bit too peach. This is also a blush that I feel like you have to be careful with. Whereas with this Milani one, I can just like swirl my brush around in it, not even think about the amount of product, and it goes on my cheeks and still looks great. You can get a little heavy-handed with this. So that's great that it's pigmented. It's totally doing its job. I think I just like the application and ease of the Milani one over this Burt's Bees one, but I still use it, still like it. This is one that I learned about from Emily Noel, and this is the Found Baked Illuminating Blush. I have used this a ton, and it looks like it has not even been touched, and I cannot get it open. What's going on? This is one of those baked kind of highlightery blush products all in one, and this is another one where you have to be really careful. This I like to say is my winter blush because it is just this kind of like darker berry tone. Don't be intimidated by how dark this color is. Once it's swirled with kind of like that highlighter shade, it honestly turns out to be something a lot more light. Oh, and the best thing about this is like $4. This is so affordable. Again, a ton of product. There's just, I'll have this forever. All right, I actually have two cream blushes to talk about, and this is a new territory for me. I didn't love this Milk Makeup cream blush. This is in the shade Work, like W-E-R-K. I like it, but I feel like it's not as creamy, and it's a little hard to blend out compared to this Merit one, y'all. This one made me a believer in cream blush. All I do is I dab some of this directly onto my cheeks, and then I take this brush from Merit as well, and this is what I actually use to kind of spread it out and just make the product look like a normal powder blush. Like, you have no clue that you've just like swiped this onto your cheeks and you looked like a toy soldier for a little bit because it blends out so nicely. I love this stuff, and there is a Sephora Favorites holiday kit with this full-size blush in it, and I would say it's worth it to buy just for that. And if you need to reapply it over powder after you've already powdered your face, it applies great. If you want to apply it before powder, it applies great. You can't mess it up. It's just, if you buy one product that I mentioned today, let this be it because I love it. Another blush that I have is actually one from Phase Zero, and I believe that the shade is called Making Moves. This came in a FabFitFun box, I don't know, maybe a year ago. I don't remember the seasons. They all kind of run together. And this I feel like is a great dupe for the NARS Orgasm blush because this also has that great kind of like highlightery blush all-in-one sheen. And this I call my summer blush. So whereas I have the Found blush over here, which is my winter blush, This is totally the one that I use in the summertime. A little goes a long way. You have to be very careful with this. But man, this was a stellar item from a brand that I had never heard of that came in a FabFitFun box. I'm usually kind of like, it'll be all right. No, this one is so good. My friend Caroline uses this all the time too, and it just makes her cheeks look so healthy that I even asked her, I was like, what blush do you have on? And she was like, you have it too. You got FabFitFun. And I was like, oh, I think I need to use it differently or better or more often or something, but this is really good. Next up is highlighter. And I have had this Essence highlighter for probably far too long. I'm gonna say that about a lot of products. I just don't throw them out when I should because it feels like a waste, and my skin's doing okay, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. But this did break on me, so I do have to be really strategic about how I place this on. Baked highlighter powder in Be My Highlight shade 10. This is legitimately like $3 from the drugstore, and this is what I wear almost every single day. I really, really love this highlighter. It gets so many compliments on it. It goes on so nicely, blends easily, looks natural. It doesn't look like you're the Tin Man after you put it on. And I feel like at a certain point, I couldn't find this online somewhere. So whenever I'm pulling the links for this video, I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope that it is linked down below for you, because this is up there with the Merit Beauty blush. Like, if you buy one thing, let this be it. You will have this one highlighter for the rest of your life. Also, I love to use this as eyeshadow. On days when I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to root around and look at eyeshadow palettes or anything like that, I will just use this with an eyeshadow brush, and it is really pretty. Just a good wash of color, makes you look, I don't know, glowy and natural, and there's a tip for you there. Another highlighter that I really like is this RMS Beauty highlighter. This is a cream one, and it does come in a pot, but it does just give you this really healthy, almost wet kind of look to the skin. Whereas with powder highlight, I can kind of put that all over, like on my forehead and my nose. This one I do tend to just put on my cheeks because it's a little sticky. Like if I tried to use this as an eyeshadow, it may crease and just be kind of weird, but this one is just a great natural glow, and I'm pretty sure RMS Beauty is known for having like cleaner beauty, if I'm not mistaken, and this is in the shade Living Luminizer. Another cream highlight that I have here is also from Merit Beauty, and this is the one that I'm wearing today as well, and I do think that it looks really nice. This is another one of those products very similar to the concealer when I was describing how you can put it on and you barely even have to like blend it in. This is another one of those like that. I could draw all over my face and it honestly would still look appropriate, even if I didn't tap it in and stuff. It's just a super easy product to work with. Now this looks super dark, right? It looks a little bit like a bronzer shade, but I promise it's not. Like if I were to draw on my hand like this, you can see it just kind of gives like a little sheen to the skin. It's not super duper pigmented. I have mine in the shade Bounce. The one thing I will say about this, it does have good staying power. It will stay on my face all day, but to the touch, like I almost feel like if I touch it, it comes off on my finger a little bit. So if you plan to be like changing clothes a lot or touching your face a lot, just be aware that you may want to reapply this, but it's not a huge con. I don't want this to turn you off from it. After I get everything on my face done, then I typically move to the eye area, and I usually start with brows. I just have two products here. One is this Winky Lux Unibrow. It's a universal brow pencil, and I'm pretty sure this also came in a subscription box. It has a little spoolie on the one side, and it has this almost thicker triangular shaped tip on this end. The thing that I like so much about this product is that it's not a super emollient formula. It's actually a little bit on the drier side, which I prefer in my brows because I feel like it allows you to be a little bit more judicious with it because you can place it exactly where you want. I just feel like it makes things so much more natural. You don't end up over applying product. So how I use this is I brush through my brows like this, and then I flip sides and I put in the product just in the little kind of sparser areas of my brow, and then I go back in with the spoolie and kind of brush through them again so that it kind of blends all the product in and looks nicely so that you don't see any of the little strokes that I'm putting in my brows. I don't think that I would necessarily repurchase this again because there are so many good brow products at the drugstore, but if you are very partial to the brand Winky Lux and you haven't tried this, I would recommend it. The other product that I've been reaching for the most is this Merit Beauty one. And it has a tinted brow product in this teeny tiny little spoolie. I have mine in the shade brown, and this is just one of those so easy throw on and go products because the product is already on the brush. All you have to do is just brush through your brows a couple times. It's so easy to apply. It doesn't leave your brows crunchy. I heard there's a really good e.l.f. version of this at the drugstore for like $4 that I would definitely want to try first before I go and repurchase this because it is on the pricier end. But next up is eyeshadow, and we're actually only talking about the eyeshadows that live in my makeup bag. I want to talk to you about these single shadow products and mini palettes because this is what I reach for 9 times out of 10 anyway. The first ones that I've been loving for years and years are these Maybelline color tattoos. I have one on my eyes today, the one that's in the shade Front Runner, which is kind of this like goldy champagne color. These are so easy to apply, and I feel like I love the ease of just having a one shadow look. So I just use my middle finger, rub it into the little pot, and then I just apply it on my eyes, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll go in with like a neutral shade and kind of put it in the crease like I did today to give it a little bit more dimension. And this is the shade Socialite. This one is a little bit more like bronzy pinky, and you can see I've actually used quite a bit of this. As soon as I run out of these, I will repurchase. I'm considering buying one more in another shade, but if you haven't tried these have been around for a million years for a reason. So many people like them. So I will say those color tattoos are probably my favorite eyeshadows hands down that I own. But I find myself traveling with those two single shadows and this little e.l.f. mini bite-size palette as well. This one is in the shade Cream and Sugar. It has 4 shades, 4 of which I use. And so that's kind of the beauty in having a smaller palette, is that you will use every single shade. I did want to bring you closer and tell you that this shade right here is supposed to be the transition shade, but it honestly is a little bit too light for me to show up. It's like my exact skin tone. So I have found that lightly trying to mix these two matte shades together does create a transition shade. So that's why you can see it definitely has gotten some use. But I use these two middle shades the most. You don't get a lot of fallout with this palette, and if you want to darken things up at night, this is a really great kind of outer corner shade. These again are only like $3 or $4. So if you're looking for a really great high quality shadow travel palette, definitely look at these. Next up is this Milk Eye Pigment, and I really wanted to like this. I got this as an add-on in a FabFitFun a while ago. This is in the shade Hotel Lobby. This is a great just neutral eyeshadow shade I felt like I was going to get a ton of use out of. But to be quite honest, this is not as easy to apply as these kind of pot versions of a cream shadow. And so I always find myself reaching for this one over the Milk Makeup one. Now I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to keep playing with it and trying to use it up because I bought it. But I will say, if you're looking for a product and ease of use is your top, I don't know, quality that you're looking for, go with the Maybelline color tattoos. So lastly in the eyeshadow category is this little Kaja, what is this called? Beauty Bento. What is Nash doing? So this is the Kaja Beauty Bento in the shade Toasted Caramel number 3. And I was so excited about it because the shades are definitely up my alley. You have this great little champagne, very similar to that other Milk makeup shadow we just talked about. Then you have this kind of like bronzy, great one shadow shade. Then if you open the bottom, you have this kind of deeper copper shade. All colors that I would love and use, but my goodness gracious, the glitter fallout on this is insane. Like, it seriously gets all under my eye. And I wish that there was at least one matte shade because I feel like I want to travel with this, and I definitely have. But it would be so nice if one of them were matte so that you could kind of use that as a transition shade and just, I don't know, tone things down a little bit, because there really is a lot of glitter going on here. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. But if you travel with something like this e.l.f. little bite-sized palette that does have a couple of matte shades in it, then it kind of does solve your problem. So that's why I haven't gotten rid of this, but you do have to be mindful with how you apply this because you do get glitter fallout for sure. So after I apply my eyeshadow, I'll always go in with a liquid liner. I only buy liquid liner. I have not used a traditional like pencil or gel liner in forever. And the one that I have right now, again, came in a FabFitFun box. And this is the Ciate London Fierce Flicks liner. There's nothing super duper special about this. I just really love a good felt tipped black liner. I only put it on the top. I think that they're so easy to apply. They stay put. You don't have to worry about smudging. So that's the one that I have right now, and I only have one. Getting to the end here, I have two mascaras at the moment, and one is the Falsies Lash Lift. This comes from Maybelline, and I just talked about this in a favorites video for the month of September. I love this stuff. It's what I'm wearing today, and I feel like it does such a good job of separating the lashes, adding volume, adding a great black color to them, really making your lashes come to life. It has great lengthening, especially after years and years of using the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. It took a lot for me to change mascaras, and this one has swiftly kind of nudge the Lash Paradise over into the top spot. I still love that mascara, but this one does not dry out as quickly, and I love the kind of hourglass unique shape of this brush. I feel like this is the winner at the drugstore for me right now. However, I do have to tell you about this Merit mascara, which I know I've mentioned before, and that's because this is a tubing mascara, and so I find that this is really great if you know that you're gonna be sweating. So maybe you're going to a volleyball tournament, or maybe you're gonna go work out in public or something and you have to go run an errand afterwards. You can wear this and you will not end up like a raccoon at the end of the day. It basically creates these little tubey coatings on your lashes, and then you just use warm water and it will come off in these little kind of pilled up balls. It's very interesting, and so it's really great for those of you who struggle with maybe like transfer on your brow bone or under your eye or something like that. So I know that the Thrive Cosmetics mascara is known to do the same thing. So if you're familiar with that, know that you kind of understand how this Merit one works. So that's everything. Those are all of the products that live in my makeup bag full time. All of these products are well loved, and I think that I like that about this. I can actually work through all the products. I don't have a ton of things just sitting on backup, slowly expiring, and it just feels good to not be as cluttered. Everything will be linked for you in the description down below. If you have any more questions about a specific product, holler. If you like this video, then like it, stick around, subscribe, join the community, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.